All right. All right. Well, greetings, everyone, and welcome to the afternoon session. And thank you, Coach K, for that wonderful introduction. So we're going to go ahead and get started for our STEAM virtual camp. And we're going to be talking about engineering careers and power of mentoring. As you can tell, I'm representing my NASA shirt. And my name is, of course, Dr. Joylene Ware, and we're going to get right into our presentation for this afternoon. As I share with my students a quote of the day, and it states, "Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I may remember, but involve me and I learn," by Benjamin Franklin. So I want to give you an introduction about myself. My teaching philosophy is attitude determines altitude. So a little bit about myself. I am a NASA fellow. I am a math scholar, of course. I graduated valedictorian of my senior class. I have a BS, an MS, and a PhD in engineering. I have a career, of course, with NASA. I work for Kennedy Space Center and Marshall Space Flight Center. I currently moved back home here in Jacksonville, Florida. I was born and raised here. And I currently work for the Department of Defense, currently working still with some people from NASA, but I also work for the Department of Defense with Navy Systems as a Navy Systems engineer. And I currently work for the Department of Defense. Okay, so I have over almost 15 to 20 years of government experience. And I'm also a professor as well. I teach part-time, and I'm also a licensed minister of the gospel. So I want to tell you a little bit about some of my NASA experience and how that led me to currently work for the military, and how I'm still working with some of the NASA projects and also working with the Department of Defense. So a little bit about my background. I was recruited by the Center Director and mentor, James Kennedy, and he is retired, but he recruited me as a NASA intern and a co-op student long time ago, back in 1998 and 2002. And I shared my NASA story because of my background. I'm one of the first engineers in my family. Also, I'm a first engineer to actually pursue a PhD in my family. And also I was one of the first people to pursue a PhD at the Kennedy Space Center. My story was shared in this particular Spaceport News back in 2006 because I was one of the first minorities to be recruited by a center director as well. And this was also one of my mentors. I had a chance also to be an astronaut for a day, and I had a chance to take a picture here. As you can see in this particular picture, I wanted to share this with you, and I'll talk a little bit more about this in the future slides. Being an astronaut for a day, which is also a training center, and where all the astronauts train, which is in Johnson Space Center, which is in Texas, where they get a chance to go into simulators and actually train before they go out on the space shuttle, for instance, or go out in space. And what they did is they had a chance for some of the engineers or some of the scientists and mathematicians to actually be a astronaut for a day to get that experience, so that you can see how some of them actually perform and train before they go out in the actual space. So this was a good experience. I had a chance to take a picture and just get that opportunity to be able to share that with you today. Okay. So some of the NASA projects I had a chance to work on, as I heard Coach K mention, we have a lot of robots or what have you. Some of the robotics programs you might take place, for instance, that you be able to perform programming, you create different robots, you be able to create different simulations. There are several things that you can do at NASA that involves robotics. Some of the things I had a chance to work on, I'm sure you all know, one of our very popular programs was the shuttle program, which we tried a few years ago. And that was one of the programs that I did work on. I worked for the logistics part of the shuttle program, where we certified parts that go on the orbiter. I also worked on the Orion program, which led to my dissertation. I'll talk about that in the next few slides. I worked on the Green Environmental Engineering program and the Sustainability program. I also had opportunity to work on the Columbia Shuttle Recovery Program, which some of you may be familiar with, the Columbia Shuttle accident that occurred several years ago. I had a chance to take part of the recovery program, where we were able to review and examine some of the mishaps from that accident to look at improvements for the future of how we can improve on our space program. This particular individual is Dr. McCauley. She was my UCF research advisor, mentor, and she was also a NASA astronaut candidate. She's currently a professor. She's just been accepted as a dean up in North Carolina State University. But she was at UCF at the time when I was obtaining my PhD. I also received a NASA doctoral fellowship at the time that I was working on my research. And I have a book published. She helped me, she was very instrumental in helping me get my book published. It is published at the Barnes & Noble's bookstore, and it's entitled A Systematic Analysis to Mitigate, Quantify, and Measure Risk Factors Contributing to Falls in NASA Ground Support Operations. This research was very, it was very important and pertinent during the time of the shuttle processing program several years ago, during that program, because there was a lot of mishaps, a lot of things going on during that time. And so she was a great mentor during that time, and also to help me to complete my PhD, and also to help me get my book published so that we can actually share this research with the public at that particular time. Okay? Which led me, after the shuttle retired, a lot of some of the engineers got a chance to transition to the Department of the Navy. And actually, some of the projects that we still get a chance to work on with the Navy is also working with NASA as well, which led me to work with the military. So we're going to talk a little bit about what some of the things I'm doing with the actual military in relation to what we're doing with NASA. Some of the things I'm working with now, and I'm also still working with some of the great mentors. This particular individual here is Tony Meyer. She's working, she was working at the time with me. She's an SES, senior support staff, meaning on the same level as a center director, except higher. And she was one of my mentors for the Navy. She has also retired recently. And one of the things I'm talking about is the power of mentoring, because you want to have great leaders around you, because I do believe leaders produce leaders. And you do need to have great leaders around you to help you go to the next level in your life. That's very important. And as you see, I partition different people around in my life. And I'm, of course, here in the center, because you want to have great people around you, positive reinforcement to help you reach the goals that you have in your life. Okay. And that's what I believe is the power of mentoring. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the next slide here. All right. So some of the projects that we had the chance to work on for the Navy is the T-45 trainer. You may have heard of it. It's a trainer for the F-18, okay? This particular trainer is very important because I had a chance to work on this particular trainer as a reliability engineer, because some of these particular fleet personnel who actually train on this trainer prepares them for F-18, which is a fighter jet for the Navy. And this is one of our most popular jet trainers. So they actually train on T-45 so they could actually fly on F-18s. Also, I had an opportunity to work on the Littoral Combat Ship program. And this particular ship is actually located right here in Jacksonville area at Mayport. So if you get a chance to tour Mayport, to ask them about Littoral Combat Ship program. This particular ship is the USS Freedom, designed by Lockheed Martin. Another ship is called the USS Independence, designed by General Dynamics, which is also located at Mayport as well. Okay. What we did, I worked as an engineer and instructional designer where we designed a modeling and simulation similar to what you may be doing for the robotics program, designing a program. This particular program was a game-based interactive training system for the fleet. And it's a model and a simulation that is used for the fleet as a training activity for them to actually operate this ship. And this is actually located at Mayport. So as I stated, if you get a chance to actually tour Mayport, you may want to actually get a chance to tour this particular training facility at Mayport. It's pretty cool, pretty interesting to see, and you get an opportunity to learn how a lot of these military personnel are training to be able to go out and perform and actually protect our country, because we do support the warfighter. This is just to show you some of the people we support and how we support the military. And of course, there's always diversity in the military. Currently, I'm working as an engineer and configuration manager for the Fleet Readiness South Center here in Jacksonville, where I certify and control all the software for the Fleet Support Center and MRO engineering. So what about engineering that's so amazing? It's a very outstanding career, as you know. I've had a chance to have a lot of flexibility in this career. Also teach in the career, and it also prepares you for nothing else that you be able to possibly do in life, because it teaches you how to think logically and how to solve problems. It gives you job security and flexibility. Why is it a satisfying career? Because as a problem solver, you can make a difference right away the first day you arrive at your job and for the rest of your career. The companies that employ engineers, of course, we know engineering firms, the Department of Navy, which I just mentioned to you, Ware, of course, we know NASA. Actually, this is a picture of an engineer at NASA Dryden. This particular Dryden Flight Center is out in the West. There's several NASA centers, which is California, Virginia. I actually worked in Marshall Space Flight Center, which is in Alabama, and I also worked here in Florida, which is Kennedy Space Center. There are other companies that may hire engineers, which is EPA and Environmental Protection Agency, manufacturing companies, Eli Lilly, Procter & Gamble, of course we know. But definitely I have to look at my favorites because I work for them, NASA, and of course, Department of Navy. And of course, I teach academia and working for the university. So going to school, this is where you play a part. What are the best things about becoming an engineer? What type of engineering that you want to do if you want to become an engineer? You can look at environmental, civil, mechanical, chemical, etc. I chose to major in chemical in undergrad and industrial in grad school because in undergrad, I loved chemistry, okay? But as I got into grad school, I wanted to branch out and learn more about engineering management. And also I looked at how I wanted to look at operations research and look at statistical aspects of the engineering. So that's what encouraged me to change as I got into grad school. So what do you want to do now if this is an area as we look at STEAM and STEM fields? Study and excel in math and science. Of course, you know, robotics programs, science fairs. Now, the starting salary, this is an example of environmental engineers. This has increased. Of course, these stats are about a couple of years old, 53 to 63. The median income salary for engineers is about 75. Of course, that figure has changed. It's just 2020. Key here, take honors, AP classes, dual enrollment. There are a lot of opportunities that have changed, of course, since I've been in school. I'm getting ready to celebrate my 25th class reunion. So a lot has changed since I've been in school. So I know there's a plethora of opportunities for you to excel and do well. And I want you to take advantage of every opportunity that is before you, because I did, to help me get to where I am in life and to have a great career. Okay? So passing on the legacy. Not only should we talk the talk but walk the walk. Passing on my legacy is now, this is what I want to present to you. This is my daughter, and Coach K had a chance to meet my daughter at, she participated in the robotics competition last year. And she's currently attending University Christian School, and she wants to major in the sciences. She actually wants to be a marine biologist and a veterinarian for marine animals and an orca trainer. She loves animals, she loves orcas, and she loves the sciences. And that's something she always wanted to be. She actually, her team actually received the award for Amazing Movement Award, and she actually was the only girl on the team, and she was representing the girl power. And she was the one that designed the actual program and for the robotics team. And of course, she got an award at her school, and there's a picture up here. She was part of the first Lego Mission League junior team in 2019. And of course, this is her award from the University Christian School. So this is just to encourage you that go forth your dreams and continue to pursue your goals, because it can happen, and I know it will happen, and you have to stay encouraged. So wanted to let you know I'm actually living what I'm actually teaching and preaching to you today. Okay? With that being said, I want to inspire you. I actually wrote this poem and I want to share it with you today. And it states, to inspire the next generation of great achievers and believers, to motivate youth to reach for the stars that no one will be behind bars, to encourage young minds to be the best they can be. There is so much in the world to see, to influence you to go high as the sky, while others may pass you by, to stir up the gift you may possess. Are you willing to invest? To move to higher heights in order to see greater sights, to arouse your creativity, show the world you have activity, to explore what grand individual you can become. There may be many, there may be some, but you may be that one. By Dr. Joylene Ware. Thank you. At this time, I want to open the floor for any questions, comments, or so I can provide you any answers that you may have for me. All right. Any questions? All right. How are we on time? I know we have another presentation after me. So how are we on time?
We are good. We have 7 more minutes, so you're good.
Okay, good. Well, while we're waiting on questions, comments, I shared this morning with the morning presentation. Some of the things I share with my students is a challenge, an engineering design challenge. To solve a problem by developing or improving an existing technology. For instance, how high can you go? What is an engineering design process? To identify a problem, you brainstorm, you design, you improve, you build, you redesign, you test and evaluate, and then you share your solution. Here's an example of what I did with some students. It's called a tower of power. What I did is I simply just used index cards, and I gave them a problem, and I told them, I want you to solve it using this engineering design process. And they took it and ran with it. And these are some of the pictures of the groups that participate in exercise. And you see, they just had great fun. I just want to take some snapshots. But this is simply an exercise of using index cards and using a bear and an airplane and a design process of an engineering challenge. And it was entitled, How High Can You Go? So this is just to give you an idea of what we do every day as engineers, as problem solvers. So with that being said, I challenge you today. How high can you go? So, questions? I hope you have been inspired.
Yeah, of course. This is so good. So students, if you have any questions about NASA or like engineering careers, this is your time. Anybody interested in pursuing a career at NASA? Anybody have dreams of that?
Yes, me.
Okay, awesome. So you can ask your questions then.
What programming language do you need to learn?
There are several programming languages that you need to learn. You can use C, C++, scripting. I know when I was in school, there was another one called Cobalt. There's a lot of different programmings now because I know C and C++, they're very robust. I know now you can even use some of the programs, and I think Coach K, there are some things now that they're learning, it's not as robust. What are some of the things they're learning now? Is it more of the scripting now? Something that's less robust for students? I know Fortran was back when I was in school, but they're learning stuff much less robust than what I learned. I learned C and C++. So that's a little bit more challenging, but there's a lot of less robust programming languages now. But if you want to have that competitive edge, I would definitely tell you to have C and C++ in your background, but learn some scripting, basic scripting programming, learn some basic HTML, because I'm actually at work, we're learning basic HTML programming and learn basic scripting. Those languages, I mean, you can catch on just like that, and that's very basic. Okay. Did you want to add to that? I know you have a background in computer science too.
So I would say right now students are learning Java and Python.
Yes.
As you said, you started with C. I started by learning Pascal back then,
Yes.
Fortran, Pascal. But I would say, whatever the computer language it may be, if you learn one language, in and out. It's easy to recreate and read another language, a code written in another language. So when I was a kid, a lot of emphasis was given for reading books. But I would say for you all, you should be able to read a code. You should be able to, if a bunch of code is given to you, you should be able to read it and understand and think like a compiler, how every step is happening, in sequence. So I would say whatever the language may be, if you learn it in and out, like what are variables, how to do looping and how constants work, and it should be easy to work on top of it.
I mean, because I'm in the process of learning Python and HTML.
Oh, good. So you learn HTML. And I want to add to Coach K as well, because like, for instance, as she was talking, learning Java, like I know for the Department of Navy, we're using Java even for our work, and HTML. And I heard you say, you mentioned that, for instance, using an if and then loop. That's a very basic programming script. And you can actually use that in Excel, and you can actually use it in a basic programming for a robot. Because if you learn one language, you can actually transfer that knowledge to another language. So it's transferable. Okay, does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, thank you. Any other questions?
What are the requirements to get into NASA?
Well, it depends on what area that you want to work in. Like for me, I knew I wanted to work in engineering. So you definitely want to pursue a technical degree. Now, let me let you know this, because some people want to apply to NASA. Technology degrees does not signify a job with NASA. That's a big thing with NASA, because there are a lot of people who will try to apply with them and they have a technology degree. That is not eligible to work at NASA. You need an engineering degree. That's a requirement of taking several mathematical and science courses. Not if you say I majored in engineering technology with 2-year degree. No, that is not going to get you into NASA. You need a 4-year engineering or math or science degree. Okay. Now, if you want to do an internship, you will need to apply with them through the internship program. Now, I started as an intern as a freshman because I was a NASA scholar. And so they paid for me to go to school throughout my undergrad. And I also was a NASA fellow. So they actually paid basically for my entire education. I recommend that you start early getting involved like with the summer programs, so you can learn now what are the requirements. Like I said, having those mentors in your life is going to help you to reach your goals. Okay. Any other questions? These are very good questions. Any other questions, comments?
I done forgot my question.
Same here.
Well, if you have questions
Okay.
Offline, you can send them to Coach K. She has my email address. You can send them to her and I'll be more than happy to respond to them, and she can send you my responses. How's that?
Okay.
That works.
Good.
Okay, sounds good. Well, thank you all so much. I have enjoyed speaking with you all today. Hope you enjoyed the presentation and continue to be inspired and enjoy the rest of your STEAM camp. Thank you again, and you all have a great day, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.